Is college football losing fans? I think this is a fascinating discussion. We've talked on this show so much about the transfer portal, NIL, the finances, and the financial operation that has become college football. Are you less enthused about college football now than you have been in the past? And I ask this because the ratings for the college football playoff final were down significantly. 3 million less viewers for Notre Dame and Ohio State than 1 year ago for Michigan and Washington. When you have two of the biggest brands in college athletics on their own stage, national television, Monday night, and you lost 3 million viewers, which is remarkable in its decline for the singular biggest game of the college football season. Jake, do we have reason to believe that college football is dying?
Yeah, I mean, I think that college football is kind of in an odd place right now. I think that it's not extremely healthy. I think that with this particular game, there was a lot of conversation about how this game just didn't have as much heat as prior years. Obviously, the Michigan fan base, with all of the news of sign stealer guy and that whole story and just everything that went on, I do believe fueled the audience that watched that Michigan Washington national championship game. But the hard part is that I think that college football just isn't as fair is an easy word to use, but it's just not as equal across the board anymore. I think that the college football playoff has made it so that, if your team doesn't get into the college football playoff, you just probably lost, call it, I mean, depending on the brand, obviously, like if Boise State hadn't gotten into the college football playoff, that's probably, 800,000 views, million views, that you're just not going to get on whatever the game would have been without them. And I think the hard part is like the Texas-Arizona State game did incredible viewership because of the story around the game. And so everyone points to, well, do we need a better matchup? Is Ohio State, Notre Dame not a good enough matchup? I think it's a fine matchup. I think those are two of the biggest brands in college football. The problem is there's not enough heat between the two. There's not enough of a story. There's not enough drama around the game to drive, all-time record viewership, to compete with last year's national championship game, or do better. And that's where this concept of, hey, is college football dying? I think comes up because if college football needs drama or needs, like a storyline or needs like some type of narrative to get people to watch, that's not a good thing. That's a very volatile thing for the business of college football. So, yeah, I do think that college football needs to find a way to make the playoffs more compelling every single year. And the easy button answer is like, well, hey, let's go to the Super League. But that doesn't fix this coming season. That doesn't fix the season after that, Like, that's where I'm sitting here saying, like, hey, do we have to have, Ohio State or Michigan versus, Bama or Georgia to do all-time viewership? Or is it more like we need drama inside a program?
But is there, but not even drama. Is there less interest across the board in college football? Because I don't disagree with you that last year there was a lot of hate for Michigan, and I think that drove it both ways. Michigan fans, other fans, I would agree with that. Michigan's not worth 3 million views. I don't believe there's a program in the country that would subtract 3 million views for not being in the game. Is this the SEC hangover because the SEC wasn't involved in the college football playoff final? Could be. Or are people genuinely sick and tired of NIL, transfer portal, lawsuits? I don't know the answer to it. My suspicion is I think it's an anomaly. I think the way that the college football playoff was executed was a shamockery. Playing the semifinals on a Thursday and Friday is embarrassing. Trying to avoid the NFL playoffs is embarrassing. You're the college football playoff. You have a massive fan base. Put the game on national TV in prime time on a Saturday night, and viewership's not a problem. And furthermore, Why are we playing the college football playoff final on a Monday night? Why is Notre Dame playing a playoff game on a Thursday night?
Yeah.
It's, in my opinion, it is irresponsible management of college football that is driving the decline in viewership. And because I don't believe that there's apathy. I don't believe that you have fans who are like, I'm not watching college football anymore. And granted, I'm a Notre Dame fan. This year I was excited as any year. And Notre Dame wasn't very good this year, in my opinion. And got a great run. I was excited for the playoff. We scheduled golf tee times and dinners around making sure we didn't miss a Notre Dame game.
Yeah.
Like, I was ready to watch the college football playoff, all of it. I was excited to see the Big 12, BYU, Colorado, Coach Prime. I'm excited that Coach Prime's not going to be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, frankly.
Right.
I don't believe that apathy is damaging college football. I think college football is damaging college football.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. There's a lot of negativity around the sport right now. I do think that all this, NIL settlement, portal stuff is definitely a rain cloud over the sport right now. And I also have to say, and I don't mean this in a negative way or any type of criticism, but I do think the older generation, the 70 plus college football fan, doesn't understand why we need a transfer portal or why we need any of this new age stuff. And I do think that the burnout factor there is significant. I think that the youngster college football fan, the 18-year-old who's on campus, is like, yeah, I get it. They should be able to go wherever they want. So I think this dynamic of hey, we have all this new conversation that doesn't have anything to do with football happening in college football. It also can be divisive and hurt viewership. And so it all really comes back to this concept of, hey, college football needs to do whatever it needs to do to stay relevant.
That's right.
And if it's creating the Super League, great. I personally would love to see the Super League. I would. I think that everything in college football should be decided on the football field. That's how it should be. And that's what I love about the NFL. We don't have questions. We don't have committees or panels, or it's all on the field. So is college football dying? No, college football is not dying, but I don't think that here today, college football is in its prime right now.
Is it going the way of college basketball? Because I do think there is far less interest and far more apathy in college basketball. 9 out of 10 college basketball fans do not watch until March, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
There's not interest. There's not nearly the interest that you have in college football. There never has been. Not certainly in the modern era. You cannot continue to play this championship game on Monday night. And I'll go to my grave saying it. The college football playoff final should be on Saturday and the Super Bowl should be on Sunday. It's what a lot of leadership in college football want. And I think eventually it happens. And we can go back to the Super League. I don't even think this is a Super League conversation. There are compelling storylines across all of these games. The fights we had on this show over SMU and Boise State alone tell you that people care about college football. It simply is the way that they are administering the college football playoff that is hurting the viewership and hurting their revenue, in my opinion.
Well, look at our show. I mean, when the Michigan thing happened, or the Pac-12 thing happened, the Cheat thing happened, when we had all that realignment happen, like when there's a story, people turn out.
Yes.
And when there is, because again, and I feel like I've been talking about this a lot lately, but I always try to put myself in the shoes of someone who is not nearly as plugged in as we are, or as maybe you guys are as listeners of the show. And so when you think about, again, the family of four who's got the 9-to-5 office job and, is just going through life doing their thing, they're probably not as plugged into, like, hey, what is this house settlement thing you guys are talking about, or who is Connor Stallions?
Oh, I disagree.
Like,
I think paying players is a huge sticking point especially the crusty old heads Monty, they're getting an education. How many times we hear, Monty, they're getting an education. That should be enough, boy.
You ought to know you bought it.
Right? Like that's what people, I completely disagree with you on that. I think anytime there's a major cheating scandal or should we pay these young boys more than their scholarship? I think it pisses off the old heads.
Yeah, but they show up. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
They show
That's
up
probably true.
to watch the game. And
that's probably true.
And I think that you know, it's my point is that the family of four guy, the average person who like maybe went to college and they're alum of a school, so maybe they followed that team. They're not like, oh my God, it's Ohio State and Notre Dame. I better watch that game. That's not what happens. What happens is, hey, like good example. If this Marcus Freeman drama after the game had been a story before the game.
Did you hear that Notre Dame players were threatening media members now, allegedly?
Yeah.
That's wild to me.
Yeah. You know,
that's crazy.
Like, I just think there needs to be a story to drive viewership. That's what we do in this country. Like, and obviously we've stayed way away from politics now. Like, we don't really talk about it, but that's why I think politics, you know, like stirs the pot so much because there's always that one thing that is just so polarizing. And you're either on this side or that side of the fence. And I really do feel like after the Texas ASU game, I don't really feel like there was a ton of heat in the college football playoff. I don't feel like, you know, like if it would have been Texas, Georgia again in the college football playoff, we probably would be having a different conversation. So
you think it's the matchup?
I think it's the matchup. And I think it's the fact that, you know, people just, you know, a side effect of the 12-team playoff is it's longer. So if your team gets bounced early in the playoff, like Indiana fans probably aren't watching as much. You know, that's a side effect of it. Like, think about Michigan and Washington being in a situation where it was the 4-team playoff and you've got 2 weeks, essentially, the college football playoff. Everybody's watching that. It's not a month-long venture.
Yeah. And I still maintain Monday is a really bad idea.
It is.
How much less beer was consumed Monday night because you had to work on Tuesday?
Yeah. Yeah. But the problem is, what are you going to do? Are you going to play your game in between 2 NFL games? No. You can't do that right now.
Yeah.
You're not going to do that. And you're not going to play at 10 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. You had the national stage to yourself.
Yeah.
And you didn't succeed. Boyd Lake, Spider 2Y Banana wore the visor. Yeah, John Gruden wore the visor. I agree. Mad Cat, good morning. College football hasn't been the same for years. And what do you mean by that?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Detail that. Darius, I like you so much. I hit it twice. This is a family show, sir.
I think I've hit it every time.
Grad Slacker, hello. That awkward guy. No one wanted to see either team win. I wanted to see Notre Dame win. Can't say nobody because I, for one, was wholly and fully pulling for the Irish. Grad Slacker, college football has been in decline since the BCS era. We've got to get human subjectivity out of the college football playoff.
What makes great college football then? Like, because again, it's this whole deal where it's like, hey, we don't want computers deciding it. We need humans. Now we have humans, and now we don't want humans. Like,
I think and really, you know what the odd thing is? The BCS would have had the exact same outcome this year. So, and is there a bigger matchup to be had than Ohio State, Notre Dame? Those are two huge brands.
Yeah.
Is it Georgia, Texas? Is it Bama, Texas? Is it?
They are two huge brands that there's no like fabric to it. There's no, it might as well have been just a national TV game. Honestly, like I watched that game from front to back to front, whichever way you want to watch it. I watched that game and everybody knew what was going to happen in that game. Everybody knew that it was only a matter of time before Ohio State went way in front in that game. Like, that's the problem. It wasn't like, oh, well.
Unfortunately, I think we were pretty correct about the outcome of that game.
Like, I just think, again, I don't mean to be repetitive, but this year's game, I'm not surprised, did less views because there wasn't
3 million less views.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Eric Wasikowski. National championship needs to be the day before the Super Bowl. SEC bias doesn't help once a different conference starts dominating. And you've got back-to-back years of the Big Ten winning a championship. And I think Big Ten fan bases are not going to be across the board as large as SEC fan bases. And I think, obviously outside of Michigan and Ohio State, I think maybe your best point is there's no heat.
Yeah.
There was not a lot of heat between Ohio State and Notre Dame. There were not great storylines there, in my opinion. I can see that. The eye patch. Yes, people tuned into the national championship last year to see Michigan lose.
100%.
I think a lot of people did.
Yeah.
But there was heat. There were storylines, right? Darius, Boise State or ASU getting there would have been more entertaining.
Yes.
Give me something I have not seen before. That's interesting. That's interesting. Seth, yes, realignment and the power of the SEC Big Ten. When they do a Super League, they better be very careful. Some fan bases may be small and not produce ratings, but you take away hope, you're losing views. I think one set of eyeballs is too many to lose. And now you don't have a Super League and you lost 3 million.
Mm-hmm.
I think, listen, I understand why the PGA Tour doesn't want to play this Sunday. I don't know how go with me on this for a minute. The Farmers Open is in San Diego at Torrey Pines right now. They teed off yesterday, which is Wednesday. The final round will be Saturday. And you understand that is highly unusual.
Yes.
Highly unusual. They usually tee off on Thursday. The final round is Sunday. They're not playing Sunday to avoid the NFL playoffs. And a lot of golfers are pissed about that. A lot. And I understand why the PGA Tour is doing that. I have no idea why college football doesn't want to play on a Saturday night. No clue whatsoever. The NFL would be more worried than college football should be worried. Because I think you would have had more people watching college football's championship game than a divisional game where we already knew Patrick Mahomes was going to win.
I don't entirely agree with that. I think that Patrick Mahomes, I think that, dude, the NFL is king. I don't give, I think
the NFL is a behemoth. I think college football fans are passionate. I do. DS for $5. What's going to happen when the athletes are considered employees? They'll never be considered employees.
Yeah, that won't happen.
So the answer is I don't know because I don't think it will happen. I don't.
I don't know. I think that's a really interesting question. The national championship game versus divisional weekend. The Bills Ravens game versus the national championship game on a Saturday night. Who would do more views? That's a really interesting question.
It was because it was Commanders Lions on Saturday night, I believe, was the late game, was it not? I think the national championship game would have outdrew Commanders Lions.
Yeah,
I have no doubt about that.
It's extremely close, for sure.
I mean, I think that and it's just my opinion. I think you have to. It's a championship game, man.
What time did that game kick off?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. So I mean, if you had kicked off
at 5 o'clock, o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern,
yeah,
you would have won the viewership battle.
Yeah,
you'd have won the viewership battle.
I don't disagree with you though. I mean, I think people are really. I don't think we know people are scared to be in the same time slot as the NFL.
And most weeks I would agree with that, unless you're playing the championship of college football. Shamockery, isn't that a drink at McDonald's during St. Patty Mahomes Day? I think it is. Dev MC felt like the playoffs dragged on too long to keep college football fans' interest, starting with the fact that first-round bye teams waited a month to play. Don't disagree. I think the first-round bye should go away, but
yeah, that's
just me. G off. Scheduling was bad. I just went about my business and semi-intentionally missed it because of when the game was on. Well, but if BYU was in,
you wouldn't have missed it.
You would have missed it, right? That's what I'm saying. Jay Chapman, there was another event that took place Monday night. Just saying, what event took place Monday night? It was a clear runway for the college football playoff.
Yeah. What other event?
Are you talking about the inauguration? Nobody's watching the inaugural bowl or ball or parties. The inauguration was not at night. Nobody's watching the inaugural ball over the college football playoff.
Yeah, I had the inauguration on while I was working. Like, that was middle of the day.
I watched all the college football playoff games. I haven't watched the NFL playoff games.
Yeah. See, so you skew more college,
Yeah. Welcome to the nightmare. The overall college football playoff needs to be tweaked between seating, TV time slots, and what days they're playing on, et cetera. I think those things, along with others, had something to do with it. I totally agree. Newfangled college football porthole and inner tubes. Well, in your previous comment, no, I have to go back and find it, but you make an interesting point about ESPN Plus. You make an interesting point about, but ABC and ESPN said across all platforms. It peaked at 26.5 million viewers, which is more than last year, but that's the peak, not the average. 3 million viewers less is huge. Huge, man. People do not like staying up late when they have to work the next day. Totally
100%,
agree.
100%.
D-Rock, it was interesting to see the viewership breakdown regionally. Yes, it was. Ratings are down because my beloved dogs had a down year. Yes.
That's it, dude.
Jed Fish is getting crushed right now. Did you guys see the rookie coach rankings that came out? First-year head coaches. Kalen DeBoer and Jed Fish, oddly both related to Washington, both got very poor grades for their first-year jobs. I think this is a critical offseason for Jed Fish. I think it's huge. Mike Chase. The BYU-Colorado game had more heat than some of the playoff games. That's just the feeling I got.
Yeah. And that was a bowl game. That wasn't even like...
Anything Deion Sanders is involved in is going to have more views. Yeah. I think... Do you guys understand the seismic shift that would have happened if Prime would have gotten the Dallas Cowboys job?
Mm-hmm.
The damage that would have been done to the Big 12. The damage that would have been done to college football viewership. Because, as Mike points out, that is the largest viewership for that bowl ever between BYU and Colorado. That's I think they had 8 million views. Colorado brings them out. I think it would have been a seismic shift and damaging one at that for the Big 12.
And it brings them out in losing fashion, too, I might add.
Yeah, exactly right. Steely, Michigan fans watch more than Buckeye fans. Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt Michigan fans watch the national championship. They wanted to see Ohio State lose. Tom Dean, other than NFL, is any sport still, quote, must-see TV for an average person the way it used to be? It's not. It's not. So I don't think it is.
I think the only other must-see TV in sports right now is when Tiger's playing.
Champions League.
Not must-see TV.
Okay.
Not for your average
American. If you're a college fan, if you're a soccer fan,
yeah.
And I think people write off the size of the soccer crowd.
I don't know. You think the American market watches a ton of Champions League?
I think it does very well.
Yeah.
I think it does very well.
I mean, Champions League games are incredibly entertaining.
And when Chelsea beats Man City's ass this weekend, nobody will have watched it here. Mike McClin, Penn State fan and better wanted OSU to represent the Big Ten and make a ninja some cheddar. Okay, I hope you won. I don't think college football is in decline at all. I don't know if I can agree with that. Regardless of which team you're a fan of, I believe we all should take a moment to realize and appreciate that we're living through the wild, wild west in college football. We are.
That's facts.
We are.
Yeah.
The change that is coming that we don't even know about, can't imagine it. David Persons, good morning for $2. 2022 TCU story, a good example of the college football playoff storyline.
See, that's a great storyline.
Yeah.
Right? But
absolutely.
Again, when we talk about is college football dying, in all sincerity, 100% genuine, the Big 12 hasn't been relevant since that year.
Yeah.
In terms of the college football playoff.
Boyd Lake. There used to be a ton of pageantry around the final college football games of the year. Parades were nationally televised. The whole day was a big deal, full of events. Today, it's like, Yeah, and it used to be on New Year's Day and Capital One Bowl Week, and
Yeah, it was a big deal.
different time. Absolutely a different time. The inauguration took no viewers. It was in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
It was in the middle of the
I just don't understand why that's a point people are trying to make. The timing doesn't add up for it to take viewers.
No, not at all. I don't see it. My birthday was on Monday. That superseded everything and took some viewers.
Right. Yeah.
So who wasn't celebrating Glenn? I don't know. Richie, everyone knew Notre Dame was going to get their doors blown off. Well, don't ask Salty Virginia Peanuts that, because he said they were going to win.
Still waiting for Stymie to show up too, by the way. Just wellness check.
That awkward guy. The World Cup is must-see TV. I agree with that. I agree with that.
Olympics?
No. I don't think the Olympics are that anymore. I don't. But that's just me. YouTube Salty Peanuts. It was the closest game since the Alabama-Georgia overtime game. Notre Dame was never in jeopardy of winning that game.
You have a weird definition of a blowout? Bro, that game was not in question.
That game was never in question.
As soon as you missed the field goal, it was over. As soon as you decided to kick the field goal, it was over.
And I look at the fact that you gave up 31 points in the middle of the game. The game was over.
I mean, you lost by, what is that, 2 possessions?
Yeah.
Like, that's, I mean, with all due respect, that's a blowout in a national championship game.
There's no way to spin the Ohio State took their foot off the gas. I'm not reliving it. You are delusional and have no ability to be unbiased. I mean, there's just no way to spin the fact that Notre Dame was never in position to win that game or even compete to win. But that's just me. Bro, it was 31-7.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm talking about the perception before the game. Yeah.
And I have to say, I actually was really excited when Notre Dame went down and scored on their first possession. I was like, okay, hey, maybe we got a game here. Maybe this will actually be different than we thought this would go. I thought that Riley Leonard would have a high chance to turn this ball over on the first possession, and then Ohio State would go down and score, and the game was over. That's what I thought would happen. But they go down and score, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, Riley Leonard just ran his ass off to get that touchdown, and he's exhausted, but they did score. So I just think
there are nice storylines for us out of this game. I mean,
bless you, sir.
There are nice storylines out of this game.
Yeah.
They threw it a little better than we thought they would throw it, but don't get this twisted. Ohio State, I'm not going to say stopped playing. They started running the ball repeatedly into the A-gap.
Well, what did you say yesterday? They took their foot off the gas.
Yes.
They just were burning clock.
And then what happened when the game was on the line? And I know, according to Stymie and everybody else that's a Notre Dame fan on the show, I don't know anything about Irish football. I told you exactly what was going to happen in that game. They were going to run Jeremiah Smith down the boundary, and it was going to crush Notre Dame.
Yeah.
They did it one time when the game was on the line, and it crushed Notre Dame.
That's the incredible part. He didn't have some huge game. He only had to make one play. I think he had 3 catches.
Yeah. Why are we even talking about this? It's fine. Good morning, fellow Glazers. What's up? Good to see you.
Glazers.
Let's see. UW fan Jim, I thought Notre Dame got off the mat and made it a game, but the Buckeyes were just too good. Exactly right. Yes, Jake. The first possession for Notre Dame made you think it was a game, but the proved otherwise.
Yeah, like I would have been like really, and this was the thing with the Michigan-Washington game. The Michigan-Washington game, like, I was really interested in that game just as a football game. Not because it was the national championship, but just like, hey, this should be a really good matchup, right? A power run team versus, a powerful throwing offense. Like, we should get some good results here. And so, yes, when Notre Dame went down and scored, I was like, yes, I'm going to be wrong about this game. We're going to actually get 4 quarters of, like, compelling football here. And that all went away.
That all went away.
Yeah.
And I love that, again, I love that Notre Dame fans on my TikTok are like, well, we just got beat because they recruited better. They were healthier. Yeah, we know. They're a better football team than we are. Ohio State's a better football team.
Yeah.
My point is, as soon as Ohio State marched down the field on their first possession after Riley Leonard, oh, Monty, did you see? He threw up on the sideline. Like it's some badge of honor your quarterback is throwing up on the sideline. Stop. It's ridiculous to me that.
Yeah.
Again, all I ever ask is that people take their emotions out of it, which ESPN clearly did not do when they built the top 100 players in college football. And I am amazed by this. And if anybody would like to help me understand, and I know I'm not a very smart guy. I am not bright. I totally understand it. But if anybody wants to help me understand how on earth you have the top 100 players and you have Curtis Rourke, 25, the quarterback from Indiana. Okay. A little lofty. Didn't play anybody. A little lofty. You have Shedeur Sanders, the 20th best player in college football. 4,100 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 picks. You have him as the 20th best player. And you have Cam Ward as the number 2 player or number 3 player in all of college football. So Cam Ward you're saying is a better, he's not.
Where is, see, this is the one. Jeremiah Smith at 5 and Ashton Ginty at 2. I have real reservations about that ranking right there.
I'm a little perplexed by this. So who is the best player in college football this past season? Well, it's Travis Hunter, and it's not close.
Mm-hmm.
And they ranked him as the top player, as they should have, right? But what's amazing to me, it is wild that there's so little respect for Shedeur Sanders. Like, I don't know what this cat's going to have to do. The idea that here are some of the players they say are better than Shedeur Sanders. Caleb Johnson, the running back at Iowa. Dylan Sampson, the running back at Tennessee. The fact that you have like Mason Graham, the defensive tackle at Michigan, is a better player than Shedeur Sanders. That you have Dylan Gabriel, 9th.
So how's Dylan Gabriel top 10 and Shedeur's not?
And Shedeur Sanders is 20th. That you have Tyler Warren, the tight end at Penn State, ahead of Abdul Carter, the defensive end at Penn State. That you have Cam Skattebo as the 4th best player in all of college football.
Better than Jeremiah Smith. Come on, man.
Maybe I'm not a smart man, but somebody needs to help me understand. What are you thinking by these rankings? I have no idea.
Yeah, I would love to understand. You know, we go through this a lot in sports. You know, the whole, you know, hey, beat writer wrote an article that's got his top, 25 or his top 50 or 100, or, this is why everyone loves mock drafts, right? Because we get to do the what if game and so I look at mock drafts and these rankings kind of in a similar light. Like, all these rankings do is make you wonder, like, well, how did you evaluate these players? Because you're saying that a running back at Boise State is better than the number 1 wide receiver at Ohio State.
You're saying that Ashton Ginty is better than Cam Skattebo, playing nobody, right? And I would argue Cam Skattebo was the best running back in college football this year.
Mm-hmm.
Best running back that I saw was Cam Skattebo. But when I look at this Shedeur Sanders thing, okay, Shedeur Sanders or Travis Hunter. I'm taking Travis Hunter. Shedeur Sanders or Ashton Jeanty. Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. I'm taking Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders or Cam Skattebo. Shedeur Sanders or Jeremiah Smith. Shedeur Sanders or Tyler Warren from Penn State. I might take Jeremiah Smith over Shedeur Sanders. But if it were me ranking the top 5 players, I would have Travis Hunter number 1 and then everybody else because I think he is clearly the best.
Well, he's
player.
the only guy playing both sides of the ball on this list.
Travis Hunter 1, Jeremiah Smith 2. And then at 3, I think there's a big discussion to be had about Shedeur Sanders. I think
there's a lot of ways you could go at 3. You know,
Jeremiah Smith has to be in that conversation, right? I mean, I think that's very interesting.
Yeah. See, and this is the thing with these rankings is when I look at a ranking, how are we defining best or better than or like, because when I do a ranking, I'm thinking, okay, well, when you think of a player, instantly you're like, yep, that player had a massive impact on the team. Without that player, your offense is not nearly as effective, or your
Jeremiah
defense.
Love is 27th. The running back at Notre Dame is 27th behind Curtis Rourke, the quarterback at Indiana.
Is Jackson Dart anywhere on this list?
He is. Jackson Dart is 36th.
Jackson Dart.
Just in front of Kyle McCord.
That is a guy. See, and the reason I brought up Jackson Dart is because Jackson Dart plays at Ole Miss, obviously, in Lane Trainville. Nobody respects this kid and his ability.
4,279 yards, 29 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
That's right in line with Shedeur.
In the SEC.
In the SEC.
And you've got him 36th?
How does that work?
You've got him behind Mike Green, the defensive end at Marshall, behind Tez Johnson, the wide receiver at Oregon, and Tez had a great year. He's behind Derek Harmon. He's behind Anthony Hill, the linebacker at Texas.
See, and
who's
that's
a
the
stud.
other thing. I don't think that, like, I understand this is top 100 players in college football, but you're going to have a real hard time justifying that a defensive tackle, let's say, or edge rusher, you know, like Abdul Carter, is better than a top 5 quarterback in college football, or Jeremiah Smith, or like that's where these kind of things get tough. And I like Abdul, I like edge rushers, but the reality is you're at the mercy of what the quarterback and the offense are doing. That's the problem.
Travis Hunter, number 1. Who would you put number 2?
I'd have Jeremiah Smith number 2.
Jeremiah Smith number 2. I think Shedeur number 3.
Shedeur number 3. Yep.
And then I think it's either Cam Skattebo, Abdul Carter certainly could be number 4. Abdul Carter's a stud.
Yeah.
Like, he is unbelievable. But other than that, I don't think there's and again, I guess we can argue about Ashton Jeanty. Does Ashton Jeanty belong in the top 5 players in college football? Ashton Jeanty or Jackson Dart? Jackson Dart. Ashton Jeanty or Cam Ward? Cam Ward. Cam Ward or Jackson Dart? Probably taking Jackson Dart.
The NFL level, I'm taking Jackson Dart. 100%.
I just think this is Richie Dubs. Cam Skattebo is not a better player than Caleb Downs. He is, in fact. And I think this is the hard part. Caleb Downs is I think Caleb Downs is a top 10 player. But do you understand the beating that guy, Cam Skattebo, took and just kept on going? And I am here to announce to the world who's never seen him play, because I think there is a large swath of people on this show on a regular basis who have never seen Cam Skattebo play. Without Cam Skattebo, Arizona State might not have won 3 or 4 games. They don't beat Utah. They don't beat BYU.
No.
Without Cam Skattebo, they're not in the college football playoff. We watched it in the college football playoff.
That Texas game is not nearly what it was without him.
That was, and so again, with all due respect, Richie Dubs, Cam Skattebo is a better player than Caleb Downs.
Yeah.
And I think Caleb Downs.
And look at the roster Caleb's playing on.
Look at the unit he's playing on.
Yeah. Now,
look
I agree.
Look at the offense Caleb Downs backs up.
Yeah, Caleb Downs is playing on one of the best defenses in college football, but he is the centerpiece of that defense. For sure.
Yeah, well, and I think he's got JTT. I think he's got that, bros. I think Caleb Downs is a top 10 player in college football.
Yeah.
Cam Skattebo is a top 5 player in college football. He is. And I don't even like Cam Skattebo. It hurts my eyes to watch him constantly tweaking his neck.
Yes.
The guy's a phenomenal player and a good dude. But that's just me. I get it. He's tough. No, it's not that he's tough. He performed at an elite level, even though he was taking a beating every week. He performed. Look what he did in the playoff. Threw the ball, caught the ball, ran the ball. Cam Skattebo is a top 5 player in college football. And I watch a lot of college football.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of Ashton Ginty. Cam Skattebo is a much better college running. Now, you want to talk about the pros? Okay, Ashton Ginty is a much better NFL running back than Cam Skattebo. In college football, where guys wet themselves thinking about tackling Cam Skattebo, Cam Skattebo is a better running back. Period. Yeah, he's not on a better team, but the awkward guy, Arch Manning, not in the top 10. It's a trash list. Let's talk a year from now. Because I think there's a chance Arch Manning wins the Heisman next year. Because that team is not getting worse. It's getting better. Cam Skattebo had the audacity to go to Arizona State. That was his problem. Can you imagine? Yeah. ASU rode that horse into the college football playoff from the bottom of the Big 12.
100%.
Exactly right. Skattebo is the next Steve Tasker. Caleb Downs is a Pro Bowler. We're not talking about NFL players.
Yeah.
We're not talking about NFL players.
We're talking about the best players in college football.
Tim Tebow is arguably the greatest college football player ever, who is an afterthought in the NFL. We're not talking about Sundays. We're talking about Saturdays. So, again, Caleb Downs being a Pro Bowler, I agree with you. He's not a better college football player than Cam Skattebo is. He's not.
Yeah.
Arizona State loses Cam Skattebo. What happens?
Season ends.
Caleb Downs done for the year with Ohio State.
Next man up.
Doesn't mean that Caleb. Look, I've just sat here and said it. Caleb Downs. Where's Caleb Downs?
Yeah, where do they have him on
list?
this? I think they had him like 13 or something like that.
Xavier Watts, Jahdae Barron, should not be ahead of number 18, Caleb Downs. And I love Xavier Watts. Don't get me wrong. Caleb Downs is a dog. That he's 18th is an embarrassment on this list.
Yeah.
And I love Jalen Walker. I think I've sat here and filleted him many mornings.
Who's the first defensive player in the top 10 right here on this list?
The first defensive player in the top 10 is Kyle Kennard from South Carolina.
I would see 10th, and Downs is 18th.
Well, because he's a stud. But I think I would take Caleb Downs over Kyle Kennard every day.
Yeah.
And listen, Kennard is a sack machine. The guy's he's a stud. He's not one of the top 10 players in college football.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's an indictment that Abdul Carter is 8th. Because as I sit here and contemplate this, I think it is Travis Hunter 1. I'm pretty convicted that Jeremiah Smith should be number 2.
I agree with you.
I think Shedeur should be number 3. I think Cam Ward or...
I don't think Cam Ward's a top 5 player right now.
Cam Ward or Cam Skattebo?
I would have Skattebo. I think Cam Ward is too irresponsible with how he throws a football, and it costs his team the season.
That's a tough one. Cam Ward or Caleb Downs?
That's a tough one.
Cam Ward or Calvin Banks? I'm taking Cam Ward. Tyler Warren's not a top 10 player in college football.
No.
Cam Ward or Abdul Carter? Ooh, that's a tough one.
Probably going to take Cam Ward over Abdul.
Okay, so then your top 5.
Yeah.
Travis, Jeremiah, Shedeur.
Cam Ward.
Cam Ward 4.
Yeah. And then 5th, probably Skattebo.
Skattebo or Abdul Carter?
Skattebo. Because you know why I say
Whoa,
Skattebo?
that is so difficult.
So take out, just look at impact on the game and opportunities to impact the game.
Calford, don't.
Oh my God, dude.
Oh.
Dude.
Abdul Carter or Cam Skattebo?
Skattebo. Yeah, Skattebo.
Really?
Yeah, impacting the game at a really high level on a lesser roster. And the funny part is Skattebo is a player who the defense knows he's getting the ball, and he's still doing that.
And they all stack up to try and stop him.
Yeah. Whereas Abdul Carter gets his one-on-one opportunities, I would say, pretty regularly.
Caleb Downs or Jahdae Barron? God damn, that's tough. Jahdae Barron or Colin Simmons?
Jahdae. You know, the thing that separates Jahdae Barron, and I would say, I can't say definitively one way or the other between Jahdae or Caleb Downs. I think that Jahdae Barron instinctually is probably the best corner in the draft. And I say that because there were multiple times this year where his team asked him to go out and make a big play to create a turnover, and he did that by leaving his assignment.
Jeremiah Smith, can you comment on Jahdae Barron, please?
I mean, and by the way, Jahdae proved that he could be the best corner on your team and also play safety.
Jahdae Barron and Caleb Downs are remarkable players. But versatility-wise,
I do think their style is a little bit different too. Like Jahdae is much more of a
Jahdae's a cover corner,
yeah,
who loves to blow you up.
And his strength as a player is not how strong he is per se. It's his understanding of what's going to happen in front of him and the angle he takes, and then he uses his athleticism to beat you. Whereas Caleb Downs is someone who's captaining the offense or the defense and is waiting for that opportunity to go and just drop you. And that's, to me, it's two different styles, but my gosh, they are both just incredibly effective the way they go about it.
Yeah, and the funny thing is on this list, and now I'm going to be a Notre Dame homer, so I ask you for some latitude, that you have Jeremiah Love at 27 that's kind of crazy. And I look at some of the other numbers that we're talking about here, and I look at like Xavier Watts. Listen, and I love Xavier Watts. I'm taking Aiden Schuler way before I'm taking Xavier Watts.
1,000%.
Right. Yeah. Schuler is
as good as Jahdae
and look, I love that Xavier Schuler. Could we combine them into one player? That would be amazing. Xavier Watts is 13th. Amazing. I think Schuler was the glue on the back end of that defense.
100%.
And I think he made so many plays and put himself in the right place constantly. I'm not sure that Schuler missed a significant tackle all year. And I'm not trying to downgrade Xavier Watts. I'm taking Schuler every single day. and that Watts is 13th, and I have no idea where Schuler is on this list, is kind of crazy. And that, that you again look at some of the other guys. Here are some of the egregious rankings. Taj Brooks, 90th.
That's a terrible ranking.
Quinn
Ewers, 91st.
91st. Quinn Ewers, the quarterback at Texas.
Bro.
Which 31 touchdowns.
Dude, that's disrespectful.
It is crazy to me. That Kenny Grant from Michigan is 88th. 88th. That's not good. That you have a guy like, who's another one? Travion Henderson, 83rd.
Henderson is 83rd.
83rd. That Seth McLaughlin's 82nd. Best center in the country, Seth McLaughlin. The guy that Alabama didn't want. It is crazy to me.
What was Egbuka?
78th.
Bro, see, this is what I'm talking about. How do you have these guys in the 70s?
Riley Leonard, is 76th. You're telling me there's not 75 players better? There are only. Come on. Yeah. That you have guys like I don't know. Who's another one? Riley Mills, for instance, is 62nd.
Yeah.
You're out of your ever-loving mind
if
you think there are 61 players better than Riley Mills in college football. I just look at some of these and I say to myself, like Colston Loveland, 56th.
Yeah, that's not a great ranking.
56. That's crazy to me.
That's what I'm saying. This list and many lists like it just feel like somebody who was sitting at their desk and needed something, and we're like, all right, well,
These are all conversation pieces.
Yeah, like let me put together my top 25, and then I'll kind of work off of that, and
Yeah, it is. And maybe I missed it. Schuler's not even on this list,
which is wild.
You figure it out.
Yeah,
I don't know your thoughts. Let's get into it. They're all subjective. They're all is what it is. Colby, Sanders 3 when he can't read a defense. Who said that Shedeur Sanders can't read a defense?
You're coming in here as a guy that's never here, and you're not off to a good start, dude.
I'm going to guess you have never seen Shedeur Sanders play a football game. Richie Dubs, Cam Ward or Colin Simmons? Well, I think Colin Simmons is a star. 9 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and a pick. 31 solos for a linebacker who doesn't play a traditional linebacker position is amazing. Abdul ain't throwing no 40-yard TD passes.
No.
I would agree with you. Were names who came up with this terrible ranking list released by ESPN? Yeah. Guys like Kyle Bonagura, who is fantastic. Like, they're top college guys. Schleybaugh, like, their top college guys came up with this list. Tanner Plummer, Cam Ward or Emperor McNabb? Exactly. Well, Cam Ward never threw up in the biggest game of his life. So, Mike McLean, Carter only has to beat one guy. Abdul Carter?
Yeah.
Totally disagree with that. I could not disagree more. Where is Ferris today? Go Lions. There you go. Ferris is back under the bridge. Okay. Lamont Tucker, hello. Cam Ward is not top 10, respectfully. Dude, he's really good. Cam Ward is really good. I mean, well, who? Okay.
So who's your top 5 then?
Let's
if he's not there.
Let's play the game. If Cam Ward is not one of the top 10 players in college football, which I disagree with. I disagree with that. Is Dylan Gabriel?
He had a great year, dude. What are his numbers right there?
3,857 yards, 30 touchdowns, 6 picks.
Had a great year, but I have to say that Ohio State performance that hurts him.
I think I would take Cam Ward. They have very similar weapons. Oregon's defense is substantially better. I think Miami's defense hurt Cam Ward. But if that defense at Miami's better, his numbers are worse. So, Cam Ward or Kyle Kennard?
I'm probably
Cam
taking
Ward.
Cam Ward.
Cam
Honestly,
Ward. Cam Ward. 10 Kennard at 10. Dylan Gabriel at 9. Abdul Carter or Cam Ward?
feel like that's a tough one, dude.
I think Abdul Carter doesn't get the respect he deserves. I didn't see a game. I probably saw half of Penn State's games. He performed in every one of them, injured or not. He was exceptional against Notre Dame.
The hard part for Cam Ward is it's hard to get away from the fact that him turning the football over, like him rolling out to the right and throwing it across his body left down the field and turning it over, is half the reason Miami's not in the college football playoff. Like, you lost games you shouldn't have lost because he turned the football over. So that's the hard part. But the thing with Abdul, in all fairness, is he doesn't get those opportunities to turn it over. He's a defensive player. So he doesn't have to think about mitigating risk. All he's got to do all game is go chase the quarterback. And yes, that's a difficult task, and he's very good at it.
But he's also really good against the run.
Yeah, it's a different.
He plays left, right, and center.
Yeah.
He plays a lot of rover and linebacker for Penn State. Like, I think there's a lot of this list. I think a lot of you have not seen. If you're downgrading Abdul Carter as like a guy who doesn't belong in the top 10, if you're downgrading, again, with all due respect, if you're downgrading Cam Ward, I think you did not see a lot of Cam Ward, because he is, as stupid as those throws back to the middle of the field are, and he does it routinely. Cam Ward or Calvin Banks?
I'm probably taking Calvin Banks.
Calvin Banks or Abdul Carter? Dude. He is dominant. Less than 1% pressure percentage. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, I mean, look, in this version of college football, in the college football like world that we have now, I'm probably taking Calvin Banks because the best teams have an offensive line and a great passing quarterback.
And he was their starting left tackle from the minute he popped out of the womb. Cam Ward or Tyler Warren?
Cam Ward.
Tyler Warren or Abdul Carter?
Abdul Carter.
Jeremiah Smith or Cam Ward?
Jeremiah Smith. See, now you're getting in a different territory.
See, I think Cam is a top 5 player.
Cam Ward?
Yeah. I think I am taking Travis Hunter, 1, Jeremiah Smith, 2, Shedeur Sanders, 3. That's tough. Who is 4?
I'm taking Skattebo 4. For sure.
Man, that's tough. At 4, I'm probably taking Abdul Carter or Cam Skattebo. That's tough for me, dude. I think from 4 down, it's a crapshoot. Yeah. I think it's really tough.
Yeah.
Really tough. What is Monty prepared to do for the top offensive lineman to get him to go to the Bears?
Sorry, family show.
They're going to get one. Gigatti. The list is as bad as the food list that put Chick-fil-A trash fries as number 1.
We're going to get to that today.
Oh, that's coming. The ranking of the top fast food. Listen, I like all of you professionally. You disgust me with what you eat. This list of America's top favorite fast food restaurants is disgusting. Disgusting. Bradley Dunkel, ESPN is insanely bad. This is not a great list. Welcome to the nightmare. Ranking brought to you by Soccer Writers of America.
Yeah, seriously.
This ranking presented by the AP poll writers. I did see the unranked Michigan didn't make the final poll. What a shame. Well, The Natural, ESPN, they just randomized the list and sent it out. AI, make me a list of is probably, I hate tech, but Taj Brooks is too low in my opinion. Have you guys, has anybody been paying attention to what Texas Tech has done this offseason?
They needed to.
Their defense, talent-wise, on paper, is going to be significantly better than it was last season. Steely says this is clickbait. Could be. D-Rock, and they are getting paid to distribute this junk. Lazy work. Well, maybe it's just that your opinion is different than theirs.
Yeah, I don't know that I call it lazy work. I just think that, like I think the thing that the thing that I would like to see with these lists is, hey, how are you evaluating the player? Are you saying, hey, like, we're evaluating these players based on analytics and based on our opinion of who's the best, like who's better than who? Okay, well then it's an opinion based article and we can all disagree on it. But
Yeah.
if you're saying, hey, well, like the problem with these lists is there's nothing to compare. There's nothing that binds the players. You're talking about a defensive tackle and a quarterback. Like there's no way to say that the defensive tackle would be more impactful or a better player.
Yeah, there's
than a
no
quarterback.
winning or losing Abdul Carter versus Cam Ward. Who's better?
Yeah,
like that's not an
insanely
argument
difficult.
you win or lose. We just exchange ideas on it.
Now, if you said, hey, top 25 quarterbacks in college football, now I can have a conversation.
Yeah. Stupid arguments about top 100 lists are presented by our good friends at Prize Picks. Listen, Shea Gelegis, Alekinzinder, SGA is the only one I won on last night. Thank you, SGA. Can somebody please ask Donovan Mitchell to stub his toe? Because Donovan Mitchell absolutely was a high colonic for my picks last night. Cavs Rockets. I understand the Rockets are on the rise. Donovan Mitchell, the best you could do is 7 of 21 and 1 of 8. And when I had you on a 37.5 point number on points, rebounds, and assists, the best you could do was 25. I dislike that. And of course, my guy Devin Booker, 41.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Anybody want to guess what he finished with? 40 on the dot. I lost. My streak is over. 9 straight wins on Prize Picks. Done. Download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code Monty. Get you deposit $5. They'll give you 50 more instantly when you open up a new Prize Picks account. And again, I continue to tell you that their free play this week with Jaden Daniels, all he has to do is complete one pass and you win.
Yeah.
That's a winner. Flex play. Here's how you win, and this is why I win so much on Prize Picks. Flex play. That means you pick 3, not 7. Make a 3 pick. You pick 3 more or less. Last night, I had Devin Booker, 41.5 points. More or less, I took more. That's what you do on all these guys. Jaden Daniels, half a yard passing, more or less, more, win. Right? On a flex play with 3, you only got to get 2 right to get paid on 3. It is the formula that has made me money after money after money. That's what I love about Prize Picks. It's easy. You win, and they pay. And you deposit $5 in a new Prize Picks account using the promo code Monty. They're going to give you 50 more instantly. Hook it up. Download the Prize Picks app right now. Join the tens of millions of Americans playing daily fantasy the right way on Prize Picks.